Don't worry about who mixed it. Just know you can find it on all streaming sites. It's fat. I'm a guy with a cloud on his chest. I was down and depressed. I guess I learned to just smile through my mess. Laugh when I'm stressed. I can't forget the fact that I'm blessed. I'm not a pastor, I'm just passing the rest. Y'all kept passing the plate. I guess niggas learn to stack and invest. Just give my father my all, cause that's what he asked. It might not look the best to you, but it's the best that I had. I've been dream chasing, blessing my ass.
Peace, people. This is Brother Thomas X. Got my brother with me.
See Liz.
And what we're doing today, man, just striving to bring some positive, informative content. And I'm known in the community as Brother Thomas X. Also, brothers and sisters know me as Dub. But however, I'm just 1/9 of the ownership of BERCC Investment Group, also BERCC Transportation, also an educator, strive to be an activist, strive to be a brother earning righteous capital. And, you know, that's me. I want to hand it over to my man, C. Liz.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm Corey Lisenby. I'm a husband, father, entrepreneur of 10 years. Own my business, Liz Kids Child Care, Building Future Foundations. Like Brother Thomas said, I'm 1/9 member of BERCC. Our main goal here is to make sure that we're reaching people, to let them know if we can do it, guarantee you can do it.
Facts.
We just some brothers that are determined to make sure that we make a change in this world and leave our mark.
But hold on. How does brother go mention that he's a husband and a father and I not do it? But then when my wife see this video, she gonna say, hold on, brother. You mean tell me you mentioned all striving to be righteous and all that, and you ain't mention me? You ain't mention these babies at home?
We uplift our queens, man. We gotta keep the queens uplifted, man. They hold the pedestal, they hold the household down, so we can do what we can do to make sure we bring home money for the household.
That's right.
So we
that's
definitely
right.
Appreciate you, sisters out there.
Baby, I love you. Children, I love y'all.
We love y'all.
Daddy always striving and grinding. Yes, sir. But hey, just to kick it off on a lighter note, before we transition into something more serious, I was watching the finals, man. Yeah, I was watching the finals last week, and I actually thought that Miami had a chance, brother. No. After they won 2 games, because initially I thought the Lakers was gonna sweep them 3-0. I thought the Lakers was gonna beat them so bad that they were gonna be able to get that trophy in 3 games.
You have to remember 4 games, but you have to remember.
Now I thought that's how bad they was gonna be. They was gonna be like
4th game.
Forget the 4th game. Nah,
what you have to remember is who the season was dedicated to.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So it was no way they wanted to sweep. I believe everything they did this year was in remembrance of Kobe, and you have to see how they beat the Heat 2-4.
So do you think the Clippers losing in the series they lost in has something to do with Kobe? Because you said it's all aligned, like it was destined.
The Clippers lost to the Clippers.
They did.
Let's get that straight.
They did.
They didn't lose to the Lakers. They lost to themselves.
That's right.
There's no way a team up 3-1 with that much talent loses. Nah.
And they end up losing to Denver, and then Denver end up getting smacked by the Lakers.
So do you think the Clippers need to make some changes?
They already made change. They got Doc Rivers out of there, which I didn't necessarily know if that was the change they needed to make. However, it's a team full of athletes and not high IQ basketball players, in my humble opinion.
They got a team full of trash talkers who can't back it up. If Pat Beverly is I ain't even talking about playoff P. If Pat Beverly is your main person talking trash and he only averaged 2 points, stop talking. Stop talking.
Hey, shout out to Pat Beverly, though, because Pat Beverly went to the same high school that my oldest sister graduated from, the Marshall Commando.
But let's get this straight. Anybody in the NBA is not sad. If you make it to the league, you got game. So I'm not saying he's sad. But if you talk trash, you have to be able to back it up.
At least get 10 points.
2 points? Nah, man.
But he locking up though.
Jamal Murray exposed him.
Jamal Murray's nice though.
He's nice.
Hold on, but do you think so with all that being said, do you think that the NBA champion this year should have an asterisk next to their title?
Me personally, I'm gonna say no. I'm only saying no. I believe it was harder to win the playoffs, considering there's no fans, no home court advantage. So you can't play to the crowd.
Yeah, it was basically like winning the
AAU tournament.
Yeah, or just winning open gym games.
I can't say
structured open gym games.
It was. More,
I came with my 5. You come with your 5.
It was more.
We see who win the best.
There was more at stake than what it is at open gym. That's why I say more of an AAU tournament, because it's a championship.
If somebody, I'm saying.
So do the Spurs got an asterisk by the lockout season?
They still had to travel to different cities and play in the playoffs. I wouldn't give them an asterisk. What I would say is, listen, you all can let me know if I'm completely going left field or if I'm on point. However,
definitely chime in.
If my team has 500 and we all working class individuals, the other team has 500, something at stake. Now, if we play the best out of 7 pickup games, there's something at stake. And now if we bring 10 laptops in and let our family view our games via Zoom, you know what I'm saying? Something at stake.
But what
because now my family watching to see if I'm gonna bring home a stack or I'm about to lose 500.
What I can commend the NBA for doing is allowing an environment for the players to be in with 0 coronavirus outbreaks, and they did it for what, 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, it was smooth.
That should let them know that it can happen.
It was smooth
when people are all together and disciplined.
It was really smooth, man. Because initially I stated that I wouldn't watch any NBA games.
You got your Kyrie on.
Yeah, I definitely got my Kyrie on. # Kyrie was right. But however, I still didn't get to watch a lot of games, but I did enjoy the games that I tuned into because it didn't feel so open gymish. Even though it didn't feel so open gymish. It actually still felt like an authentic NBA game. But speaking of that, though, being that they was in the bubble, how do you think the bubble relates to like the life we live in? Because I think we in a similar situation as the NBA players. Like the same way that they were in a bubble and they had to go through different precautions to even be in the bubble, and then they couldn't leave the bubble. It's almost like
they were shut down.
They were shut down. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So if I'm riding, like this morning, I was about to get some gas, right? Mm-hmm. I pull up to the gas station. My vehicle is parked. I get out because I like to go in because last week I put my card inside the pump to prepay. Man, I had to go through a whole thing with Apple Pay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
matter of fact, it wasn't even my card. I just Apple Paid and had to go through a whole thing because I didn't know that they hold $75 on it.
Yes, sir.
So from now on, it's like, I'm going in. So I'm about to go in, right? I'm like, dang, I'm forgetting something.
That's the new walk of shame. That's the new walk of shame.
The mask is the new wallet. I'm like, dang. So I checked my center console. Brother, I'm at the gas station. This is how crazy it is right now. Mm-hmm. I can't even go in the gas station and get gas because I don't have a mask, man. Because I know if I go in there with a mask, without a mask on, everybody looking at me like I'm straight out the Thriller video.
I laugh every time when I'm going to the grocery store, the gas station. You pull up, and if you pumping gas or you just put your groceries in the car, and then you see somebody walk to that to the entrance and ain't got their mask, that's a sad walk back to the car.
Walk of shame.
That is a walk of shame. They so depressed. They are so depressed walking back to the car. So make sure you get your mask. Get your mask.
Get your mask.
Make sure you have them with you at all times.
And so, do you think that the way that things have shifted with how we have to function during COVID, you think that plays a role in the mental health of not even just the American, man, but do you think it plays a role in the mental health of people all over the world?
Yes, sir. Being shut down for 3 months to everybody who wasn't an essential worker exposed themselves. If they were real with themselves, you had to look in the mirror.
Yeah, facts.
During that time when you were during the shutdown, you had to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, is this me? Do I have room to grow? And at the same time, they probably fought with a lot of demons. And that I don't believe that helped children, because a lot of children couldn't go to the fun places they wanted to go. A lot of the places were shut down, so they wasn't open. So it wasn't like the parents could give their kids a outlet.
Right.
They were literally stuck in the house, man. So the mental break on the children, I believe, is going to be a more of effect in the long run than the effect that we had on as an adult. Because we know how to get over it. We still was able to go to the grocery store if we needed to get away. But we didn't let our children go with us. Right. So our children literally have been prisoners during the shutdown.
Man, I think it was a gift. It was a gift, and I think you can call it a curse too.
It's a lesson,
but a lesson. But to add to the point that you were making, the same detrimental effect it had the ability to have, it had the opportunity to bring about a greater awareness in ourselves, our lack of relationship with our families. And we had the ability in that time frame to build those relationships that weren't there. Like I have teenagers now. Man, that's crazy saying that.
That's crazy.
But I have teenagers now, and then I have my youngest three. So now my youngest, a teenager, oftentimes young brothers, they're not trying to really just be hanging out with their younger siblings
or their parents.
But now when we all in the house, it's time to have those real conversations. It's time to see, like I found out things about my sons who are my teenagers that I necessarily didn't take the time to figure out.
Just a busy day every day of hustling and bustling and dealing with our jobs. Yeah, we lose sight of that. The shutdown made us sit still, literally, and focus on what we really need to focus on. Whether that be our business, our families, just those different relationships, man. I got close with my family, I can say, during the shutdown. I found myself more during the shutdown. I was able to stop a lot of the hustle and bustle and moving that I was doing. And my mind was finally able to rest. Yes, and I believe I needed the shutdown personally.
Yeah, facts.
I can't speak on nobody else. I personally need the shutdown to kind of rejuvenate myself and define myself again. And once when things started to get lifted up, I was like, okay, I got this energy back with me. And then just to speaking with different people during the shutdown to make sure they were cool, checking on their mental, and just checking on people, period. Not necessarily if their mental aspect is okay, but just checking. Hey, are you cool?
Yeah.
And just those different conversations with the different friends that I have, man, and brothers that I have, and that meant more than anything.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't physically able to see a lot of people, but to talk with them, the people who don't usually talk on the phone, be like, hey, you cool, bro? Yeah, I'm good, man. It's a quick conversation, but I just appreciate you checking on me, man.
Yeah.
And I believe I got more into doing that since the shutdown.
Man, that's something that you say that I think about how I was having a conversation with an individual, and I told the individual that during the shutdown, I had the opportunity to see the positives and increase on the positives of my character. But man, I got to see the ugly part of me too.
Yes, sir.
That I don't necessarily get to study because I'm always moving. And so I think seeing the ugly part of me and being able to really settle in on striving to strengthen that weak part of me has helped me over these past few months strive to become a better brother, a better husband, and a better father. Because I tell you what, man, during the shutdown, being able to have those conversations with yourself.
Man.
Like, that's big, man.
You
Talking to yourself.
You are the realest person in your life, man.
Man, I have a book coming out, inshallah, which means God willing soon. And one of the chapters in my book is titled Making Your Word Bond to Yourself.
Yes.
So we oftentimes strive to make sure that we keep our word when we give it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. But we're known for lying to ourselves the most, breaking our word with ourselves. That's what procrastination is, breaking our word with ourselves. And so, man, when during the quarantine, I had the opportunity to do something that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad based the teachings off of, and it's 6 words, which are accept your own and be yourself. Mm. So when you have that time to just study you, now you have the opportunity to come out of the quarantine, accepting your own and being yourself, not living in nobody else's valence, not taking on some other persona. You've had thorough time to study yourself and accept your own. I accept the good parts and the bad parts. Now I gotta be myself, and the more I work on myself, I can become my best self.
Let me ask you a question, Doug.
Yes, sir.
What is one thing during the quarantine that you've seen that you needed work on personally?
Man, I can't tell all the secrets, man. I may
have
to knock everybody out in the studio, brother.
Let me say this,
nah,
me personally,
yes, sir.
Like I said before, I've been in business for 10 years. And what I found out about myself is I fell into a comfortable place.
Yes, sir.
And that's the most dangerous place you can ever be in life. Mm-hmm. When I felt comfortable, and my comfortability lasted, man, for years.
Yeah.
And when the shutdown happened, I realized, damn, I'm comfortable. I got to shake this up and get uncomfortable. I cannot grow being comfortable. And when I realized I was comfortable, I was like, damn, so for these past couple of years, I wasn't growing.
Right.
I was literally stagnant because I was comfortable.
Yes,
and
sir. That's good stuff.
I did myself a disservice by getting comfortable. I did my family a disservice by getting comfortable. I did my wife a disservice by getting comfortable. Yeah. So I started shaking things up. I have to be uncomfortable at all times, because if I'm uncomfortable, I'm growing. Yeah. I have to make mistakes. I have to fuck up to grow and learn from those mistakes.
Man, I would say mine, it was 2. And these were really the most, I would say, important. It was my impatience, because I can be very impatient, most of all with myself, and being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. You know, vulnerability is something coming up.
Hold on, black man. You're vulnerable? As a black man, you gonna sit there and say that?
Have to be, man. Have to be,
you, brother.
It's the same way. The same way that I said in my book. I have a chapter titled "Making Your Word Bond to Yourself." To thoroughly examine yourself and go through a process of self-examination, self-analysis, and self-correction, have to be vulnerable. It's almost as if you got to strip yourself down. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this one time in a lecture he has called God's Healing Power. He was saying, man, he was talking about people overweight. He said, man, you should go home and buy you a full-length mirror and just strip. Just in front of your mirror, just be completely naked, so you would know what you really have to work on. Because we can front. Like when we getting overweight, we may just buy some clothes and be like, yeah, your boy getting a little, you know what I mean? Diesel out here. Like, nah, your boy eating a couple Zuzus and Wham Whams, man. That's what's happening. You know what I'm saying? but however, you know, he was just stating that. And when I had to study myself, I had a conversation with my wife. See, I'm gonna shout you out, Queen. I had a conversation with my wife, and I was telling her, like, you have to help me be vulnerable, because as black men, we're not taught to be vulnerable. We taught that's weak. You know what I'm saying?
We was taught as weak as a child to show emotion.
Yeah, and vulnerability.
As 1-year-old babies, Stop all that crying, boy.
Vulnerability don't even mean being extra emotional. Vulnerability can go into being willing to accept criticism.
Yes, sir.
Being willing to be critiqued.
Yes, sir.
Without being defensive.
Yes, sir.
But I'm vulnerable enough to know that I'm not perfect and I need to improve. So can you help me improve?
And I believe in business, man. I appreciated every parent that I've had and that I've had who actually gave me critique because I got better from it. When a parent never told me how our service was going, I didn't know what to fix.
You know how to improve it.
But when somebody critiqued me, like, I don't like this, you can fix this, or such a, I was like, bet, thank you. Like, I'm more excited to hear my wrong than I am my right.
Yeah.
I shy away from getting praise, man, because I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I don't need a congratulatory for that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm doing wrong, tell me I'm doing wrong.
Yes, sir.
Because that's where my eyes are big and I'm ready to learn. I'm doing something, I need to fix it.
Yes, sir.
Not to be perfect, because I know I can't be.
Yeah.
But I know I'm flawed in a place that I need to correct.
Man,
help me correct.
That's a great point. See, that makes me think about how a flawed person, knowing that they need correction, we are individuals.
Mm-hmm.
We dealing with flawed systems. In particular, since we was talking about the mental that was worked on during quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Education. Now, I'm an educator.
Yeah, I'm an educator.
We educators on multiple levels because we both are part of, my brother has owned a daycare for 10 years.
10 of them things.
My wife and I, which she runs primarily, kudos to her, have had a daycare and it's been growing for 2 years. And I'm an educator, been inside of the educational system or the public school system and what we consider townships here, which are still public schools. I've been in that for 5 years. So we've been working in education on multiple levels.
I've been dealing with children, man. I graduated from Indiana State back in 2007. In June, I started working with the youth and haven't stopped. So from 2007, I've been working with the youth nonstop, from every age group, from infant all the way up to high school. I mentored them. Mm-hmm. I had the oldest young man that I mentor now is 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And this is a story that I'm going to tell you real quick, Doug. This would humble me and made me want to continue working with children. This young man was in 8th grade when I first met him. Mm-hmm. I'm fresh out of college.
Yes, sir.
Young, you know.
Yeah.
You knew Young C, man.
Yeah.
But he seen something in me, man, was like, you are a cool dude. Like, I want to be just like you. I'm like, no, you don't. Mm-hmm. Be better than me. Mm-hmm. But he stuck to his word and want to be just like me. Ended up on the Indiana State, just like I did. Mm-hmm. Majored in the same thing, recreation sports management, like I did, with a minor in marketing, just like I did.
Wow.
And paid homage to me once when he graduated, just saying he appreciated me setting the standard for him. I didn't give him a dime, didn't give him no money. I gave him knowledge and gave him my time. And from that, he reciprocated by just saying thank you.
Man,
and that was way more than any money that he could ever give me. And to this day, we're still in contact with each other. Mm-hmm. He's telling me when he just needs help mentally and somebody to talk to, not necessarily financial help, but man, to grab a hold of a youth at that age when I was still a youth really myself.
Yes, sir.
And to still have that same type of connection with him 13 years later, man, hey, man, that's love.
And see that, and that bears witness to how education goes beyond the physical structures that we go through and matriculate through K through 12 or even post high school. Because during this time that we're in right now, the pandemic era, or some people call it the plandemic era, we are noticing how virtual learning is taking a real toll on educators and students. Mm-hmm. Now, both of these individuals, the educator and the student, has some adapting to do. In my humble opinion, you all can tell me what you think. I think that this is a gift that has been presented to us from Allah, God Almighty, the Creator, Jehovah, whatever you call him. However, the reason I think so is because in our community, we've been getting the worst education. See, the worst education. So now we really get opportunity to use YouTube University.
But let me ask you this, Doug. There's a lot of people that look like us or the Latino population.
Come on, man.
Who?
Shout out to Melanated Fellowship, Black and Brown Men in Education. Yeah, we do Latinos too. Y'all brothers, our sisters.
A lot of them may be considered, they may not have internet at home.
Right.
So with this new schooling, how it's going virtual learning, is that affecting them? I mean, but you can speak more on that because you're at an administrative level to where how is that really impacting those communities or those families who are unable to have internet at home?
That's a great question. And I know one of the things at the school that I'm at that we've been doing is the household is provided with what is called a hotspot. Mm-hmm. You know, like you have an iPhone, you have a hotspot on the iPhone.
Yes, sir.
And so what this hotspot is, it's almost as if it's a USB port, but it gives you access to the internet. And so it eliminates your inability to have the internet on your own at your house. So now the internet is being provided for you. Now we just have to be disciplined enough to use that internet for the purposes in which the hotspot has been given. So we still have to be honest. I've opened up some laptops and there's nothing educational that's been on that hotspot.
Yes, sir. I've also seen with me owning my own childcare and having my own school number, we get mail and emails from different providers. T-Mobile has sent us something, Verizon, to where we can buy a tablet and get set up on a plan with like $4 a month for it if we have anybody who's doing virtual learning. But the benefit that I believe from virtual learning goes back to how we were raised. Mm-hmm. School, I mean, you're taught at home.
Yeah.
So it's back to parents becoming the teachers at home.
Yeah.
And it allows the parent to be more informative of what their child is actually doing in school with their school work.
And it also opens up the limitless opportunities on the way that you learn. Everybody doesn't learn well sitting at a desk.
Yes, sir.
Everybody doesn't learn well just having someone lecture to you. Like you may want to be engaged in more dialogue, or let's say hypothetically, you learn best by watching a movie and having the principles that relate to the curriculum narrated by an educator that comes from that movie. Like I can literally do a whole curriculum, in my humble opinion. I think I can do a whole curriculum and it can be catered from grades, I would say 3 through 12 on the movie Limitless. Mm-hmm. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Because this movie Limitless, the movie that Bradley Cooper was in, I think it has so many lessons inside of it when it talks about taking a pill that exposes you to using 100% of your brain. That pill can represent certain
Can you
books.
tell the audience how much percent of our brain that we actually use?
Man, really, studies say that we use in between 3 to 10% of our brain.
10% at the most.
That's out of 100. Now, in some countries where they're using a little bit over 10%, these are countries that you find people who are able to levitate. These are things that we can look up. People are able to levitate. People are able to really control their atmosphere from their mind, because everything starts from the mind. But I'm saying when a child has the ability to have other avenues by which they learn, that child is cutting up in class. And this is not for all of them, because some children are just cutting up in class, but there's a reason for everything. But that child that doesn't just want to be sedentary, they have the ability to learn via the internet, but they can be outside in the courtyard doing it. Mm-hmm. They can be at the park. They got a hotspot. They can be at the park.
You think of it, when I'm educating any child, I try to connect with what they're good at. Mm-hmm. So when I was growing up, basketball was 100% everything. So I try to relate everything to basketball. And one thing that one of my coaches had taught me was he would give us a scouting report. Mm-hmm. So we would read the scouting report. Then we would actually see the visual and see on tape the plays actually written down and how they run the plays. Then we would actually go perform it physically on the court. Mm-hmm. If you didn't get one of them 3 ways, more than likely you wasn't on the team. Because when you reading it, there's going to be a group that gets it just by reading. Right. By seeing it on tape, there's going to be a group that get it just by seeing it. And then by actually going out and performing, that should hit everybody on that team on how to get it. So just like how you said, there are some people who can just read a book and be like, I got the lesson. I'm good. Yeah. There are some people who have to actually see a video on it of and explain it. And then there are some people who actually have to do it in order to learn it. Those are all different aspects of how people learn it. And that's what teachers have to remember. Actual fact. Whether they have it in class or on virtual learning, they have to remember that every child is different and they have different learning behaviors. And a child may need to be in a place where their senses are heightened, man. So there's a the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He has a book called Closing the Gap, and he was teaching on the power of color. So do you know in our communities, a lot of times in our communities, you have our communities just dull. There's no color, right? But when you go out to communities in affluent areas, there's a lot of color because color does something to the imagination and to the mind. So with having to learn virtually, man, I can go in front of some flowers and learn. Mm-hmm. I can go to another community and learn from the very school that I'm a student at. So I think that personally, I think brick and mortar is coming to an end. It has its benefits for the most part. Everybody uses the internet. That same child is not paying attention in class. They paying attention for 3-4 hours on Fortnite, Call of Duty. So they're used to interacting via the internet. It's the educator that's been given archaic teaching on how to teach an archaic curriculum that's not used to acting actively on the internet. Yes, sir. I mean, so, man. And even outside of the school system, the brick and mortar system, you look at a lot of the jobs who have went to virtual. Yeah. Like they don't need the buildings. If people can work from home, what's the need for the buildings? So you will probably see a lot of those buildings get shut down and yeah, man. So even like technology, we've been hearing, of course, we're blessed to grow up in an era where we're young enough to understand what's going on now. We are the computer era. But we're old enough to know analog. You know what I'm saying? So we're young enough to know digital and be up on digital. But we're young enough to remember analog. You gotta speak it in their terms. We know Atari. Yeah. But we also know PS5. That's what it is. Okay, we know look, Atari. We know the real Purple Tape by Raekwon. We know that. And we also know how to stream something off Tidal. You know what I mean? Exactly. We know about it. So yeah, we're blessed to be in both eras. And we had teachers teaching the same thing that a 12-year-old is learning right now. But yet, we've seen that and we have experienced that to know some of the adjustments that need to be made that will help educators transition into this new way of teaching that we're really being thrust into via this pandemic. Yes, sir. So with that being said, do you think the technology that we are really being, as I stated, thrust into using is taking us into a place that has been designed for us to go? Like we said, some people call this a pandemic. Or do you think this is just, the natural course, taking this course? Well, if you look at the Jetsons, let's go back on cartoons. Teach on them Jetsons, man. You hear me? So you go to the Jetsons. We were literally supposed to have them flying cars now. Yeah. The Jetsons were literally this time. We were supposed to be having these high sky rises and all, but we're not seeing that.
We may not see flying cars, but there are vehicles that are parking themselves, brother.
True. And I can't say by 2023, I believe that's what I read, we will see flying cars. They're already making them in Japan.
Hey, look.
So, but my thing, I believe technology has made us lazy.
I kind of disagree.
And that's great.
That's right.
But you look at how our children now, they're literally able to go to the internet and find anything they want to. But they are so lazy.
Yeah.
Compared to when we were children, we either got an encyclopedia or a dictionary thrown at us to figure out what a word means.
That is true. That's excellent. But now, so now tell me this, because there's pros and cons to it. So tell me this: how much time did that take?
True.
To have to look up certain words and have to, that's like, that was analog.
But look at the independency that it cost us to go out and research our own information.
It did, but also when we talk about independence, there are, I would say, now this hasn't been an authorized study that I conducted. However, based on observation, I would say that there are more teenage or pre-teenage entrepreneurs than there were when we were teenagers.
That is due to our generation being entrepreneurs and putting that on them and putting that education on them.
Do you think
there are more entrepreneurs our age now to where we're able to educate them, and we understand it? We're going to educate our youth about what we did. I want to give them a hit, and that's what we do, man. So we want to give them a start before. We want you to get all your fuck ups in before you're 16, so you know. All right, I got
but look at our generation. All right, now we sound like some old heads because we compare generations. But just look at now, even though there's more than these individuals that I'm going to name, but I'm just naming these individuals because they were prevalent in our community, prevalent entrepreneurs, right? Mm-hmm. We had the Master P's.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, one of the greatest Black entrepreneurs, despite what field. We have the Diddy's, we have Russell Simmons, we have Jay-Z, we have Oprah, we have brothers and sisters that were entrepreneurs in our era when we were teens and preteens, but yet going to school and getting a job was still pushed, right? If you tell a young person to go to school and get a job right now, you automatically may be looked at as a lame, because they understand that with the internet, they have the ability to create an empire.
So for the most part, out of those people you name outside of P, who didn't have somebody else behind them?
What do you mean?
Who didn't have somebody else behind them? Like, Diddy really had Andre Harrell behind him. And Andre Harrell had who?
Who did Oprah have behind her? Who you mean mentors?
I didn't really mentors, man. Somebody putting up
Andre Harrell. Oh yeah, somebody that was financing their dream or financing their desire.
That's why I said Master P. When he comes to mind, he did everything we wanted to do coming up. You was a drug dealer. That was the bad part of it, but you was a drug dealer. You played in the NBA. Yeah, you was a rapper. You sold clothes.
Made movies.
Like you did everything that
made him say
You did everything as a kid we wanted to do. Yeah. You literally did. You touched every entrepreneur part that we wanted to do coming up. Everybody else had somebody else helping.
Yes, sir.
That's not saying Master P didn't have help, but everybody
has help.
He was He was the forefront.
He definitely was the cardinal of the tank. I heard them big things. We got them big banks.
Everybody had the no limit tank around their neck.
You hear me? But yeah, but I think, man, I do think that technology serves a good purpose too, the same way it kind of impedes our progress in some areas.
It's just a lot of information that's at our hands. Like you said earlier, though, even when I made the example about the encyclopedia and dictionary, they do have the information so quickly at their hand and at their fingertips.
It eliminates space and time.
But it's processing that information.
Yeah.
What is a 6-year-old gonna do knowing about the judicial system?
Yeah. And on the negative end, like it will expose us to things too early.
Yeah.
Like a 7-year-old shouldn't see sexual activity.
They see that anyway.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't see that on the cartoon now.
So yeah, so I think that
like
it
we
serves
coming
its
up.
purpose.
I don't mean to interrupt you, brother. When we was coming up, we watched Tom and Jerry, who didn't say nothing.
Yeah,
as soon as they seen each other, was on sight. The humans that we seen in Tom and Jerry, all we seen was from their neck down. We never really seen nothing else from a human in Tom. Well, from a black human.
Hey, that used to be one of my favorite cartoons, but however, I hate it, man. The only black person we seen on there, we didn't see her face, but she was the sister cleaning up. She always had a broom in her hand, and talking real loud.
And she was the only one. If you notice about it, man, she was the only one who really didn't see their face.
We didn't see her face.
The white people that they showed, we always seen their face. Whether it was a man or female, we always seen their face. We never seen. And she really like a ancient mama.
Yeah, she was an ancient mama. She was an ancient mama.
And if you look at a lot of the cartoons that we looked at coming up, man, how racist they really were. Looney Tunes. Man, it was so racist.
Man, straight up. Nah, actual fact.
Just looking back, I'm like, man, but
that's the subconscious, man. I was literally having a conversation this morning. My niece had called me. I have a niece, man. She calls me, and she really likes picking my brain, and she doesn't know. Like, as she's picking my brain, I'm learning so much from her because I think she's only 22, 23. However, one of the things that we were speaking about was just how we're so much further back as far as our level of progression or advancement than we can actually articulate. So just thinking of that scenario you use, the racism in the cartoons, if the subconscious mind never sleeps, the child can be entertained by the activity that's going on presently, but the subconscious mind is picking up on, nigga, you ain't worth nothing. Nigga, this is your place. So just think of all the education that we received over the last 10 to 20 years, the political positions that we're in, the wealth that we have gained as a community, and we still talking about Black Lives Matter when we bring in $1.3 trillion as a community in 1 year.
We gotta make that black
talking
dollar
about Black Lives Matter, man.
Gotta make that black dollar circulate.
But yeah, so we coming to the close, and we really appreciate you all tuning in. Once again, I'm Brother Thomas. And before we leave, we definitely want to shout out different brands in which we support. The primary brand that we support and that we are part of is BERCC, BERCC, which represents or stands for Brothers Earning Righteous Capital. And the primary reason for this brand even being brought about is because we see how our sisters are getting to it. Our sisters are coming together. Our sisters, man, salute to our sisters, our queens, man. They're actually one of the highest growing entrepreneurial, they lead entrepreneurs right now.
Hey, Doug, me and you talked about this too.
We definitely talked about it.
Women have a women empowerment month. They dedicate a month, and there's conferences around this country to empower women. Brothers,
don't give away what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something. We got something coming. But however, we need to be empowered too. We need to be empowered, inspired, encouraged, and also motivated to unify with one another, but strive to do it on the righteous level. And we all know, as men are providers, protectors, and maintainers, we have to earn capital. So why not be brotherly doing it, but also earn our capital righteously? So that's where Brothers Earning Righteous Capital is. That's where it emanates from. And we are just striving to be encouragers and empowerers of Black and brown men all over the face of the planet Earth. And so we have BERCC. Also, as I shouted out earlier, this was a fellowship that I was in for Black and brown men in education. Of course, our Latino brothers and sisters, they're doing their part too and striving to progress as well. But we came together over, I think, a 8-week period, educators, men, black men, brown men, and really were discussing the things that we have in common and how we can make an impact in our communities. So as servicemen. So man, definitely wanted to shout out Burke, shout out the Melanated Fellowship.
Let's make sure we shout out the rest of the members of Burke,
Yeah,
Jamie Jackson, Breon Wilson,
That's right.
Brandon Kane, Sean Randall, Trey B, and
Big Mike. Yeah.
Big Mike.
Or we know him as Bebo.
Bebo.
You know, our brother know why we call him
Bebo.
Big
The Big Lemon.
Big Lemon, Big Tootie. You know what I mean?
King Ugly.
So,
Black Birdie.
And
Kane.
man,
What they call him, a Fina?
Yeah, Fina. But just to give a backstory on how Burke even came about, you know, myself and Corey being members of it, all of us are brothers who have been very, very close friends. We call each other brothers. We don't even say friends. But nearly 20 years and some more than 20 years. Did you shout out Gooch too?
Yeah, Gooch on my back.
Yeah, you shout out Gooch too?
My bad, Gooch.
And we've been friends for literally 20 or some more than 20 years. So we've seen the transition. We've seen each other grow. We've seen each other go through hard times. We strive to help each other get through those hard times, get to good times. And while doing this, actually during the quarantine portion of this pandemic, we decided that, man, let's do something together. Let's do something together.
I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I've been waiting for this day for my brothers to come and join me.
Yeah.
Just to be able to do anything, whether it's minor or major, to be with them and to strive to gain this righteous capital with them. It's powerful. Burke is on the move. Just be on the lookout for us. We have a transportation business.
That's right.
We're actually out on the road now doing some runs.
Right now.
We're striving to employ black and brown, just to give them an opportunity. It's nothing against any other race, but we want to give ourselves an opportunity before anybody else gets that opportunity.
Hey, first I'm gonna let you know, see, you ain't gotta put that disclaimer. That is not nothing against any other race, man. Listen, the black man, the black woman, the brown man, the brown woman needs to be empowered the most, man, at the end of the day. And so if you believe in that mission of empowering black men are public enemy number one right now. We ask you to make an investment in Burke. And it don't necessarily just have to be a monetary investment. When we think investment, we automatically, sometimes I would say, not always, we think monetary. But man, invest in Burke by leading Burke to some resources. How can we serve? Invest in Burke by just giving us a shout out on your platform. And we not turning down monetary funds. Invest in Burke by purchasing a Burke hat. That said, you can cash app us at $Burke Investments. That is $BERCCINVESTMENTS. Burke Investments.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Burke_LLC. That's BERC_LLC.
Man,
We're
thank
also
you.
on Facebook as well with our transportation page, Burke Transportation. Find us on there as well. We appreciate y'all so much for listening to us. To my guy Dub, I always appreciate you, man.
Always, brother. You know, it's nothing but love, man. We gonna keep on keeping on. But always remember, if you a brother, strive to be a brother earning righteous capital.
Shit changing, thank God for amendments. Me and Tasha get along, thank God for forgiveness. Shit, thank God for Miss Linda. I heard her grandson high as the